some devastating news, I would say, but I don't think it was unexpected given the time period of the season. Caitlin Clark announced on her social media that she will miss the rest of the season. She captioned it in short, in part, "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with a singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling." She was limited to 13 games this season.
Okay, this is unreal. Candace Parker just dropped a major reality check, and it's one the WNBA absolutely did not want to hear. Caitlin Clark being shut down for the entire season isn't just bad news for Indiana. It's a gut punch to the entire league's momentum. And here's the kicker. Those quiet rumors about Clark possibly stepping away from the WNBA for good, they're not so quiet anymore. They're practically screaming. The league thought they had time to figure this all out, that they could slowly build around their superstar. But no, that clock just hit zero. The terrifying question they now have to face is simple. If Caitlin Clark walked away tomorrow, what would even be left of the WNBA's current wave of hype? Be honest, this is chaos, and it's not something the league can sweep under the rug anymore. Clark, in just her second professional season, is now officially sidelined with stubborn groin and leg injuries. And if you listen closely to her statements, you can hear it, the frustration bleeding through even her most polished professional words. She's disappointed. She's angry. And fans can see what's really happening here. This isn't just about missing a season. This is about the unbearable pressure put on her shoulders and the league's stunning failure to protect the player who was supposed to be the face of its future.
How I am feeling. She was limited to 13 games this season, and she hasn't played since July 15th when she suffered a right groin injury in the final minute of the Fever's win versus the Sun right before the All-Star game.
I mean, that's our girl. That's our girl. And I feel like no matter what happened, you have to protect you and you have to protect your career. There's no reason to force anything. And I feel like her just kind of having that approach of doing what's best for her is all we can ask for, because we'd rather Caitlin sit out and then come back next season and we're ready to roll and we're ready to rock. And so we've just been supporting her and she's been supporting us. She's always there. We're getting to watch film and she's in there walking through saying, "Hey," and we're like, get out, go do what you need to do. But I mean, she's still the same. And I feel like our approach, because we've been missing her for so long, is just to come in and compete. And we have a good rhythm, I think, with everyone that's came in. And so just keeping that as our main focus.
When it comes to protecting players, Candace Parker just made her stance crystal clear. The veteran superstar, who has lived through nearly every injury a player can face, openly backed Caitlin Clark's decision to shut things down for the season. Parker didn't just agree, she empathized. She revealed that in the twilight of her own career, she ignored the warning signs, pushed her body past its limits, and ended up paying the price. That's why her message to Clark carried real weight. Take no risks, ignore the noise, and put your health first. The playoffs will come and go, Parker essentially warned, but your career has to last for years. Don't let the league or anyone else rush you back. Respect your body and play the long game. Coming from Parker, those words aren't just advice, they're a lifeline. They remind everyone watching that this isn't just about one season or one playoff run. This is about keeping the biggest star in the sport healthy enough to change the game for years to come.
Well, Coach Steph White had said that they were hopeful that Clark would return by the end of the regular season, but Caitlin was unable to fully reincorporate back into practice. And, she had never missed a game in her collegiate career or first year in the WNBA. So this is definitely a blow, I'm sure, for the organization, but also for her. Fever went 8-5 when Clark played and 15-15 without her. You all did win the Commissioner's Cup for the first time in franchise history without her. So maybe that is also another precursor. But big picture from the outside looking in, I have been a player that has had a number of injuries, and I think later in my career especially, some of those injuries.
But here's the real shocker. This story stopped being just about Caitlin Clark's health a long time ago. This is about the WNBA's entire future hanging by a thread. Let's not sugarcoat it. The league has been leaning on Clark like its entire business plan depends on her. And honestly, it kind of does. The evidence is everywhere. Record-breaking attendance, sold-out arenas, TV ratings spiking for the first time in history, jersey sales flying off the shelves. all because of one player. For the first time in years, the WNBA wasn't just background noise. It was in the headlines, trending daily, becoming a real cultural conversation. And now, their single driving force is stuck on the sidelines, reduced to sharing rehab updates while the league scrambles to keep the momentum alive. Which leads to the uncomfortable, almost terrifying question no one wants to say out loud. What happens if Caitlin Clark decides she's done? What if she looks at the constant injuries, the flagrant fouls that go unpunished, and says, "No thanks. My future means more than carrying this league on a half-broken leg"? If that day ever comes, the fallout would be nuclear. The WNBA would instantly watch all that progress vanish overnight. Fans didn't flood arenas this year because they suddenly fell in love with the league itself. They showed up for Clark, for her game, her story, her energy. They wanted her logo on their chest, her highlights lighting up their feed, her name rewriting the record books. Remove her from the picture, and the league risks falling right back to where it was. Empty seats, silent timelines, and games no one outside the diehards are watching.
And taking the time. And there is a difference in being a role player and coming in and playing a role and coming in off of an injury. There is a rhythm. But when you are Caitlin Clark and you have the ball in your hands and you are on the other team's scouting report, to come in half and not be able to be in that amount of, I would say, shape, rhythm of the game, because the rhythm of the game changes towards the end of the year. And so when it started getting closer to the end of the regular season, I was like, it's dangerous to come back during playoff basketball because the whole flow, the physicality, all of that is different. And so I know it's difficult to kind of take time and understand the big picture, especially when you're living with tunnel vision and you've worked so hard to get to where you're at, but it's the smart thing. And I'm proud of this generation for taking the time they need, looking at the bigger picture, and making sure that they get healthy. So, Caitlin Clark, hope you feel better. You have a great offseason and you come back.
Let's be brutally honest. The WNBA has been playing with fire for months, and now they're getting burned. Game after game, Caitlin Clark was treated like a crash test dummy, getting hacked, shoved, and body-checked like she'd accidentally signed up for a hockey league. Elbows flying, cheap shots, trash talk way past the line, and what did we get? Refs swallowing the whistle. The league sitting on its hands. Everyone pretending this was just part of the game. And now, their golden ticket, the very player who single-handedly put them on the national radar, is sitting on the bench in warm-ups while playoff basketball tips off. That's not just bad luck, that's negligence catching up to them. Candace Parker nailed it when she said the quiet part out loud. Playoff basketball is a war zone. It's faster, rougher, and more brutal than the regular season. That is not the stage where you throw an injured superstar back into the fire. You wouldn't take a Ferrari and enter it into a demolition derby, unless you wanted to watch it get destroyed. But the WNBA? They wanted her back out there, even if she was limping, even if she was taking forced shots, just so they could squeeze a few more headlines and TV eyeballs. And that's where their instant regret begins, because Caitlin Clark isn't naive. She sees the game behind the game. She knows she's the one holding all the leverage. If she decided tomorrow to step away from the WNBA, cash in on broadcasting gigs, sign multi-million-dollar sponsorships, play overseas, or even build her own brand around her name, she'd be just fine. Maybe even bigger than ever. The league, on the other hand, would be left scrambling, staring at empty arenas, wondering how they managed to lose the very player who saved them from irrelevance. Let's call it like it is. The WNBA has survived for years largely because the NBA has kept it afloat. For decades, they've been trying to grow the game, throwing money and campaigns at the problem. And yet, the biggest surge in viewership, ticket sales, and overall relevance didn't come from a clever marketing plan. It came from a single player, Caitlin Clark. This is a second-year pro we're talking about, and she's been carrying the entire league harder than any commissioner's speech or flashy promo ever could. That's exactly why the talk of her possibly walking away hits differently. This isn't just fan speculation anymore. It's starting to sound plausible. You see it all over social media. Fans openly saying, "If Clark's not playing, I'm not watching." That's not loyalty to the WNBA brand. That's loyalty to one person. And if she ever does decide she's done, those fans will follow her out the door. That's what true leverage looks like. And that's what instant regret would feel like for the league. A total collapse of all the momentum they worked so hard to build. Candace Parker deserves massive credit here. Her message wasn't just for Clark, it was a direct call out to the WNBA leadership. Her words were clear: respect your stars, stop grinding them into the ground, stop rushing them back just to squeeze out a few extra TV ratings. Clark isn't some rotational player you throw in for 10 minutes. She is the headline, the player every defense schemes around. If she's not 100%, she shouldn't be on the court. Period. And here's where it gets even more revealing. Clark has been giving everything to this game. Even during rehab, she's been in the gym for hours daily, working like crazy to return. The pain in her words is impossible to miss. But when she spoke publicly, she thanked the fans, thanked her teammates, but not a single word for the league, the refs, or the suits running things. That silence speaks volumes. It shows she knows exactly who's had her back and who hasn't. And that, more than anything, is why the Clark could quit conversation isn't just a rumor anymore. It's a warning shot. Caitlin Clark has already figured it out. She can't count on the WNBA to have her back. So why keep playing a game that feels stacked against her? If you really think about it, the league's worst nightmare isn't just her being injured. It's the idea of her leaving altogether. Imagine Clark heading to Europe, collecting tax-free money, playing a lighter schedule, actually getting respect from referees. Or imagine her stepping off the court entirely and leaning into media deals, building nil-style programs for the next generation, signing massive endorsements that make her bigger than the league itself. She has the power to create a career so large that the WNBA becomes just a footnote in her story. And if that happens, the league will have no one to blame but itself. This isn't just about Clark, though. The league has a history of running into these same problems with its stars. Angel Reese made headlines, good and bad, while players across the board complained about travel nightmares, low salaries, and outdated facilities. For years, the WNBA has been almost there, but never quite breaking through. And then Clark showed up. Fans flooded arenas. Social media exploded. For a moment, it felt like everything was fixed. But Clark's injury ripped the curtain down again, reminding everyone that those old problems never actually went away. Candace Parker's comments drive this point home. She's been through the same cycle, pushing through pain, risking her body, sacrificing everything for a league that didn't always give enough back. Her warning to Clark is crystal clear: don't let history repeat itself. And the fact that someone as respected and beloved as Parker still has to say this out loud tells you everything. The league hasn't learned a thing. And here's the kicker. The WNBA will probably respond with a carefully worded PR statement about player safety and supporting Caitlin's recovery. But fans aren't stupid. They saw the cheap shots. They saw the refs swallow the whistle. They saw the league happily cash in while Clark limped away from the court. No amount of polished press releases is going to erase that image. No PR statement can patch this up. The idea of Caitlin Clark walking away from the WNBA isn't some wild conspiracy theory. It's a real possibility, and it's getting louder every day. And if that day ever comes, the fallout won't just sting. It will obliterate the league's momentum. The merch sales? Gone. The packed arenas? Empty. The highlight reels lighting up social media? Silent. The WNBA would slide right back into irrelevance, fighting for a few seconds of airtime on ESPN between golf highlights and off-season NFL chatter. And maybe, just maybe, that's what it would take to finally force the league to face reality. But based on its track record, I wouldn't hold my breath. This isn't the first time the WNBA has built its entire identity around one superstar. They did it with Diana Taurasi, then Candace Parker, then Maya Moore, and now they've done it again with Clark. The difference? Clark isn't just another generational talent. She's the one who brought millions of new fans into the arena, who turned the league into a cultural event, who put WNBA games at the top of sports talk shows. And yet, the cracks are starting to show, loudly. Clark's social media post announcing she was done for the season might have been polite on the surface, but between the lines, you could feel the frustration simmering. She wasn't just sad she couldn't play. She was angry, disappointed, and very aware that this league has failed to protect her. Calling Caitlin Clark merely disappointed doesn't even come close. For a competitor like her, it feels a lot closer to betrayed. She held up her end of the bargain. She worked relentlessly, became the face of the league, and delivered the most compelling storyline women's basketball has ever seen. And what did she get in return? Cheap shots, missed calls, and now an entire season down the drain. And remember, this isn't her rookie year anymore. This is year 2, the year where the hype was supposed to evolve into dominance, where she should have been headlining every single playoff highlight reel. Instead, she's stuck on the sideline while the WNBA watches its momentum vanish, staring at what feels like a giant flashing "oh" across their entire season. Let's be brutally clear here. If Caitlin Clark ever decides to walk away, it won't just hurt, it will detonate the league's progress. Ratings will tank. Arenas will empty. Sponsors will start asking hard questions. The WNBA will be scrambling to explain how they let the most valuable player in the history of their brand just walk out the door. That's what instant regret actually looks like. And the solution isn't complicated. Treat her like the superstar she truly is. Not just in glossy commercials or on social media graphics, but where it matters, in the officiating, in the rules, and in the way the league actively protects her career. Because here's the ugly truth. The WNBA has never excelled at protecting its stars. They've been experts at monetizing them, at selling jerseys, cashing sponsorship checks, and boosting ticket sales. But when it comes to safeguarding their bodies, their health, or even their reputations, the league has always been one step too slow. Clark is figuring this out fast. And Candace Parker practically spelled it out for her. Don't make the mistake of sacrificing your long-term career just to satisfy the league's short-term needs. Parker openly admitted the playoff grind is brutal, the pace too fast, the risk too high. And then she praised Clark for doing the smart thing by sitting out. That's more than just a compliment. That's a wake-up call. Because let's be honest, Clark had every reason to push through. The pressure, the media glare, the constant spotlight. Yet, she made the rare decision to choose her health over the league's desperation. And that choice tells us everything. She sees the bigger picture, and she's willing to protect her future even if the WNBA won't. And here's the part the league should be terrified about. The fans see it too. These are the same fans who filled arenas just to watch her play, and now they're wondering if they should even tune in. If Clark isn't there, they're asking the same question she might be asking herself. Why bother? That's the sentence the WNBA hopes never gets spoken out loud. Yet it's growing louder every single day Caitlin Clark stays on the sidelines. This isn't an Angel Reese controversy that trends for 48 hours and disappears, and it's not a one-off headline about travel problems or charter flights. This is the league's crown jewel, the very player who turned packed arenas and record-breaking ratings into a weekly thing. Sitting on the bench while Candace Parker, one of the most respected legends in the sport, basically confirms, yeah, it's better this way. That's not just news, that's a league-altering crisis. The WNBA is staring down a moment of truth. Either they step up, protect their superstar, and prove they can handle the responsibility of having someone this big, or they watch Caitlin Clark walk away and take their entire future with her. And Clark isn't clueless. She knows her value. She knows she's bigger than the league itself. And once a player realizes they don't need the league as much as the league needs them, the balance of power shifts overnight. The WNBA is clearly not ready for that shift. When Candace Parker retired, it hurt, but life went on. When Sue Bird left, it was a blow, but the league survived. But with Clark, you don't just move on. You collapse. You lose the merch sales, the highlight clips, the viral moments, the sold-out crowds, and most importantly, the casual fans who came for her. So congratulations, WNBA. You begged for a superstar, finally got one, and then let her get hacked, bruised, and broken until she's sitting out the playoffs, leaving you with your nightmare scenario. What if she never comes back? Because if that day comes, it's game over. No hype campaign, no press release, no PR spin is saving you from the fallout. Clark's injury might have shut the league up, but her quitting would shut it down permanently. And unless the WNBA finally starts protecting its players, enforcing fair officiating, and treating Clark like the generational star she is, that day might be closer than anyone wants to admit. So here's the question. Do you think Caitlin Clark could really walk away for good? Would you still watch if she did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button if you think the league needs to wake up, and subscribe because next time, we're breaking down exactly what Clark's future could look like if she leaves. And trust me, you don't want to miss that.